Good afternoon, cult members. Welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean,
I'm
and
Janice.
we're back from vacation,
Yay.
and so we
Boo.
are getting caught up on a bunch of stuff. And very nicely, they dropped Andor full trailer for us today
Right.
on Good Morning America, and they changed some dates. We'll get into that in a minute, but I'm excited to see what a full trailer is because the teaser gave us a bunch, and we still don't know what the show's about.
Right.
So here we go, Andor, and go.
Pretty. Lord of the Rings? Oh.
Right? The Empire's here.
That's not good.
To steal from the
Yes.
Empire? To just walk in like you belong? They're so proud of themselves. So fat and satisfied. They can't imagine that someone like me would ever get inside their house. Cassian Andor. The Empire is choking us so slowly. We're starting not to notice. What I'm asking is this.
Looks amazing.
Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real? I need all the heroes I can get.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it.
Oh, nice!
Oh, I'm so excited.
There's fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting.
Pockets are opening.
You're in my net.
Are you a fish?
Or are you a thief?
Yes.
You're slipping.
I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long.
So he has a way bigger
As
role
long
than I
as
thought.
everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
Something.
This is what revolution looks like.
I'm tired of losing.
That's fair. Oh, he's got.
Three episodes. All of us.
Oh my goodness. Okay, there's a bunch there.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
We've talked about in the past about how some trailers the CGI just isn't done yet because they're still working on it and stuff like that. But they said today that they didn't film any of this on the volume. It's all real world.
Oh, wow.
So, I'm not saying that I love the volume. I love what they're able to do with it and stuff, but they've made a point with this show to make it feel like Rogue One, which felt like New Hope.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Very practical.
very, very practical.
Yeah.
Everything's real. Everything's natural lighting, or at least feels like natural lighting. And so with that, I'm like, like I said, I love the volume. But there's times when I watch the volume where I'm like, okay, I know this is the volume. And it's
Yeah.
messing with my head a little bit.
Yeah.
This, I know they're actually in those mountains.
Yeah.
So it's
That's why I was like,
It's
Lord
just
of the
that-
Rings.
my uncanny valley is not with people's faces because I can accept that they are working on that and that's not there yet. My uncanny valley is when I know a landscape isn't real.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where that is. But this, because it's all real. Anyways, I guess Stellan Skarsgård is also in the Senate
Yeah. Well, yes,
and
but
working behind the scenes.
yeah. Yeah. I thought he was just, I mean, I don't really know about this story. I mean, I guess nobody really does.
Not
but,
really, no.
I, from the previous trailer, just thought he was one of the kind of rogue agents or whatever they're calling themselves at this point, trying to get Cassian into the fold, into the group. But it looks like Cassian's in the Empire, like snuck in,
Right,
and
right.
now Stellan's character is also in there going, let's go do this other thing and be a
And then
bigger.
Stellan's working with Mon Mothma
Yeah.
in the background in the Senate to try to get that all kind of going too, because then they ask the question, "What are you really doing?"
Yeah.
And so making a point of at least showing that Mon Mothma is trying to do a lot of the same stuff, but much more on the diplomatic side, which is who Mon Mothma is.
Right. Yeah. She's trying to, pass the laws or whatever that are going to help everybody.
Or
And
fight against the laws that are being put in place.
right,
and stuff.
right. And Stellan's character's more like, let's just go be bad guys.
Let's go blow some shit up. Where is Saw? Saw Gerrera. Now,
Saw
we talked
Gerrera.
about in the last trailer that it makes 1,000% reason to have Saw in this show.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense because he fought against the Trade Federation. Ahsoka and Anakin trained him in the Clone Wars when he was younger to be the guerrilla warfighter on the ground against the Trade Federation when the Jedi and the clone army couldn't be there, and he lost his sister in that war. And then come to find out that the people that he was trying to fight with end up being the Empire.
Yeah.
And so that's why I like this idea that Andor also was a separatist, also fought against the Trade Federation. Can't come to find out he was working for the wrong side, and now the Empire is the one coming in. So having that parallel with Saw made complete sense to have Saw in this. And Saw is a guerrilla fighter. He will blow up everybody to get whatever he wants.
And it's interesting because that means that Cassian and Jin were like this around each other, but never met.
Yeah,
in this whole.
I
or Jin might have been gone from Saw at that point.
Jin was 16 when Saw left her and made her kind of like go out on her own.
Yeah.
So
so
there may be a story point or a conversation somewhere about, didn't you used to run with a former Imperial agent's daughter or something like that?
We
and
heard
Saw shuts it down real fast.
We heard rumors that you were working with and
I think that
Maybe.
sets up season 2. They've talked about season 2 and what it's gonna run right into Rogue One, and so that conversation is going to be had in Rogue One at some point in time. But with having Saw here and having him that guerrilla kind of warfare, working directly with Stellan Skarsgård's character's name, who I cannot remember off the top of my head because I've been on vacation for 10 days. And then Stellan working directly with Mon Mothma in the Senate. It's kind of this. He's kind of the bridge between the two different views of the rebellion at this point.
Yep.
I want to talk about how the Empire is showing up on a planet and then strip mining it.
Yeah.
And this is a big part of what a lot of the new canon has been explaining about the true evilness of the Empire.
Right.
It's not necessarily just Palpatine manipulating the system to stay in office longer than he should have.
Right.
Or having his lapdog Vader run around and destroy everything.
Yeah, with a bunch of stormtroopers who can't shoot straight, and there's like a couple characters that are really portrayed. I mean, I think Darth is portrayed way more evil in the Obi-Wan series than he ever was in the original trilogy. But you have a couple of bad guys, and then like a lot of comic relief. Like the stormtroopers are just
right.
Yeah, you're like, so this will definitely kind of solidify, like Obi-Wan did for Darth. I think this will solidify a lot of feelings about the Empire.
Several of the comics and several of the books have talked about this idea of the Empire coming in and just eradicating planetary
resources
and funding and people and whatever to get whatever it is for themselves. And Lucas was trying to teach this story with the original Star Wars of the Viet Cong and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But also the mechanized versus the natural.
Yeah,
and that's why you see a lot of the rebellion, quote unquote, the rebellion, and very overgrown, natural-looking bases with large trees and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you always see the Empire in this very sterile, very very bland kind of color and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so
very clean spaceships, which space isn't clean.
Right. Look at Han's ship. But
they did touch on this a little bit in season 2 of Mando, right? When he takes Grogu to
yeah, and they talk a little bit in Obi-Wan too. Like when Obi-Wan was taking Leia to the rendezvous point.
Yeah,
like, this used to be rolling green hills and stuff like that.
But this is going to be way more in your face.
Like, if they're going to show the strip mine, it's going to burn in your face.
Yeah,
and so it's just. I for a long time I've been very against people cosplaying as the Empire. I understand they've got cool ships and cool uniforms, but they are true evil.
Yeah,
and a lot of those kind of Gestapo bullies that were the SS at time is mirrored in the Empire.
Right. Even their uniforms are very SS looking.
Yeah, but I'm really excited. Now let's talk about this for a hot second. They've moved the date back almost a full month.
Right.
And they're going to give us 3 episodes in one sitting. That's going to be a very long night. It was going to be that She-Hulk and Andor were going to run essentially at the same time.
Yeah.
Both dropping in August, like a week and a half or 2 weeks apart from each other. And then both being on Wednesdays throughout.
Right.
And they moved Andor back 3 weeks, which will be the first 3-episode arc, because it's a 12-episode run. It'll be the first kind of arc of that show to kind of maybe get us to where Andor is when he starts to join the rebellion and kind of stuff. So I'm really glad they did that, because it gives each show a chance to kind of breathe away from each other, except for the 2 weeks that except for that 2 weeks at the end of She-Hulk when
right. And 2 weeks is fine. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's much better.
Right.
Because like you said, you need to, like, we know a lot of people who have watched most people went with Obi-Wan over Ms. Marvel.
Yeah.
And I mean, I really liked Ms. Marvel.
Right.
And so, it's like you're doing a disservice to one of your shows, because people only have so much time, especially when you got kids and they're like, you got to watch what you can while they're awake and then save the rest for another day. And sometimes people don't get back to it. And
this is very much not going to be a kid's show. So I'm interested to this is going to be a much more of an adult theme, I think, to it. Much like how Rogue One was much more of an adult theme, war movie kind of thing like that. This is
I think I don't know. I guess it's going to depend on your kids, right? Our grandkids will watch it.
Because we're those kind of grandparents. But having them not fight for headlines with each other, I appreciate that. I'm glad they did that.
Make our lives,
and
make reactors' lives
a lot easier. Yeah. And so I'm interested to see kind of what the Discord's going to be about that conversation. But I think everything they've seen has been pretty positive. That we're going to give She-Hulk the room it needs to be its own thing, and then we're going to give Andor its room to breathe and be its own thing. And then we get Bad Batch, and Bad Batch is coming this fall, and that one is like. You're not going to watch Bad Batch with me, but I'm going to watch it every week anyways.
Right.
And so
But we have so much coming. So much coming.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this show. It looks awesome. And we got Saw Gerrera. More Saw is always a good thing. So let us know what you thought of this reaction in the comments down below. Please be nice. That's a requirement around here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, follow us on all the social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links in the description down below. And until next time, cult members, good afternoon, good evening, and good night now.